Hello, I'm Natalia Ukraini. I'm Communication Manager of Leadership and Ministry. And today we're going to talk to Natalia Shalata, CPO of Leadership and Ministry Program of Ukrainian Education Platform, and Daan Verbaan, he's Program Officer of Moldova, Ukraine, and Southeast Europe of Kerk and Actie. And we're going to discuss how the cooperation between Ukrainian Education Platform and Kerk and Actie changed during the war, and also how to build a strategy that works, and what role does a sustainable partnership play in that strategy. So my first question will be to both of you. When did this cooperation between Ukrainian Education Platform and Kerk and Actie started? And what do you think about the results of this cooperation so far?
So you first. Yes.
Okay, hi, it's nice to meet you. Well, if we speak about cooperation, I thought about it a lot, and I think what we succeeded the most is building mutual trust. This is what helped us to be successful and build sustainable cooperation, and I think it's one of the hardest things that you can achieve. So this is, I guess, the most valuable thing for me personally. And also what I really much like is that we managed to change the mindset of the people that we worked for. So all these programs that we created together, all the participants that participated, we see how their mindset shifted. And now, and this is for me personally, is a leadership in action. So you can actually see this change during this year, because our cooperation lasts for 5 years so far, since 2017, and you could really see this shift. And it's very amazing for me, and this is what inspires me to move forward. Your turn.
Actually, the relationship between Kerk and Actie and Ukrainian Educational Platform is approximately 5 or 6 or 7 years, I don't know. But we getting to know each other only in September last year. It feels like it is already years, yeah? So, and that is making very much clear that there is a lot has happened. And as far as I understood from my predecessor, so the other program officer, there was very big enthusiasm within the Protestant Church in Kerk and Actie for Ukrainian Educational Platform, for LEF. And maybe interesting to mention here that we liked the name LEF very much, because LEF is meaning courage in the Netherlands, in Dutch, yeah. So that's why we like the name LEF very much. And why this is such an inspiring model, because it's very much focusing on well, supporting young people within the churches, and to support young people together with priests to make significant change in church communities and in communities in general. And that was actually the whole idea which I got as a sort of, well, handing over for my predecessor. I still remember the first getting to know meeting with Natalia, which was, it was as if Natalia was already in the room, yeah. So I had a lot of getting to know meetings then with people in Greece, in Italy, in Moldova, because I got a whole new portfolio. But the one with Natalia was very, very lively and that's actually exactly the image which Ukrainian Educational Platform gave us, also with the whole team today again, and also the image which your organization or this organization has within our Protestant church. So that's the reason why we like it very much. So you worked a lot, you did a lot of interesting, well, projects already before this war started. Well, there was already a war, but actually before it became even worse. So the results were already visible, the network was already there, and it was a perfect base foundation to build up what we have now. So, okay. So, but that's much too long, I took too long. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So next question, Daan, will be to you. You mentioned the beginning of your cooperation with Natalia, with our organization. And I would like you to tell, what do international organizations like yours, what do this organization pay the most attention to when they start working with local organizations? What could make those local organizations successful and help them start such cooperation?
We do not implement projects ourselves, so we look for reliable partners where we can have a connection with, and we give funding, but together with this funding we also want to build sustainable relationships, with trust, with the feeling that we share the same vision and idea. And that's exactly what is very much the case also with a Ukrainian educational platform.
And now, Natalia, what's your opinion? You, as a local organization representative, what do you think make these local organizations successful? What criteria do they need to meet to build such long-term relationship with international organizations?
Well, it's a good question, because we have already within Ukrainian education platform and within the leadership and ministry team, we are the charity organization. So I can't say that we are a religious organization. We are charity organizations, but we are very much affiliated with the church because we are working for parishes and developing parishes, helping them to change and build communities. So kind of a parish becomes, and the church becomes, a vehicle of change in a community. And this is our special approach. If we speak about the criteria for local organizations, they definitely need to have clear understanding of who they are and why do they exist. So it's kind of a basic philosophy that an organization should have, and have a very clear set of values and approaches the way they work. So basically it's all about the capacity and the team. You should definitely have that. And it's also one of the criteria that we have for our local support centers that we create. So we help them to organize, build teams, sustainable teams, and then they can realize together what are their goals, what do they aim for. So basically create a strategy. So you don't make 54 or 104 moves, because you can't change all of the problems that are existing, even during the time of war. There's a lot of issues. You can't address all of them. Being a local organization, it's impossible. But you can definitely have a clear focus. And so when you have a team, this is the first thing. Then when you have a strategy and you understand who you guys are and what part of the problem and quantity of the problem you address. And then also what is very important is to help them, is to be sustainable. So try to focus on a long-term activities, I guess. So you have to, it can't be a very successful one-time activity. It has to be a process. So the team, the strategy and the vision of where are you going, what problems are you solving, and what quantity of this problem that you address, and the long-term run perspective. So you have to be focused on the long run. And this is how you can, as we see it for our partner organizations, and what I think also help us. Because we wouldn't be able to operate this successfully and in this amount if we didn't have those, I think.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe a very short question. That's something that Daan mentioned before, and I want you both to answer it. How important is the fact that organization not only fund local organization, not only give grants, but also support them and to take an active part in the strategy planning in the life of smaller organizations?
Mm-hmm. I go?
What do you want?
Okay, so honestly, I think it's, and I always say to the partners and to the people that we give trainings to, because I also teach project management and things like that, operational management. and it's never about the money. It's never about the funds, because you can't build, it doesn't work this way. And for us, within our team, it's very important, the values and the approach that we do work is very important. So we can't just look for money. Money is not the key to your success. It's an added value. It can, when you pump in the money, you can see the bigger impact. And you can do a social innovation with 1,000 euros, or you can't do social innovation with 100,000. So the money is never a measurement of your successful work, which is why I always say it's never about the money, it's about your values and your approach and your methodology. So this is something that is very important, and I think when you tend to build a sustainable long-term effect, you're really supposed to be very clear on this, that if you don't maintain, if you don't participate, so Kerk and Actie usually, this is something that we practice. So it's not just something that I say, that it's never about the money. It is. If we have €1 million, we can do more. But we can do, it doesn't decrease the quality of our work if we have less. And within the Kerk and Actie, what I very much like in our cooperation, we always discuss. We have our set of values, and we know that we aim for the same goal. So our goal is to build a vibrant parish and to bring the church closer to the youth, engage them, involve them, make them become the vehicle of change. And if we wouldn't be able to discuss this with Daan and create a mutual vision, so basically this is how we unite the Kerk and Actie vision and strategy with and it kind of become our mutual goal. And then we decide on what scope of work we want to do. This is how we decide what amount of money for this scope is possible, not vice versa. Well, it's just from my perspective.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah? So it's money, funding or money is important, but it's only an instrument. Yes. Yeah, so it's only helping to get projects done or whatever. But these are also only projects if they are not based in a shared vision and not shared in a very fundamental relation also between partners, which is even more important when you have, these events like a war, then it's useless. Because spending is not a problem. Yeah? Spending money is not a problem. You can easily find projects or whatever, but it's very much for me, for us, for Kerk and Actie, for the Protestant Church, it's very important to have long-term relationships. And it was interesting to see that for Ukraine, when I took over the portfolio of Ukraine, Lev was the most important partner, was the long-standing partner, with only a small amount of funding.
It's true.
Yeah? It was a rather small amount if you compare it with the money which we now spend with, but the relationship was there. So that was the key issue. And there were much more relationships in Ukraine which were not connected with the funding at all. So we had this World Communion of Reformed Churches network, yeah, we both shared a lot of things, which was not about funding, was about sharing, was about supporting, showing solidarity, etc. So in this sense, money is, of course, it's important because otherwise you cannot build projects or whatever. But if there's not a relationship, if there's not a shared vision, we develop things together actually, yeah? So this so it's actually the great ideas of Ukrainian educational platform, but we need to implement it, if we do it in the Netherlands, in a way that it's fitting there. So we discuss together, we share together, we involve local churches together. So these things are very important, and it's not only sending an application for a certain amount of money. So yeah, and that's, okay, maybe that's enough. Yeah, could talk 8 hours about it. Yeah, sorry,
it's really interesting.
I'm talking too much.
I'm listening to both of you, and I could listen and listen.
Okay,
our next things that I want to ask you both also.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot about relationship, and I want to ask something more related to our main topic. How does this relationship, this sustainable, strong relationship between two organizations influence the strategy of both organizations, Ukrainian Education Platform and Kerk and Actie? And maybe you can provide some roadmap for organizations of this, of building a strategy.
Well, it's obvious. May I, of course? It's obvious that it's actually, well, that's interesting, our roadmap. I was impressed today, because, well, what you are doing in the organization is almost, a lot of things are so, well, put on the wall as a strategy, as an idea, so it's all very well thought, and you can also share it in a wonderful way. My feeling of the last 6 months is that it's very difficult now to plan, to strategize. At Kerk and Actie sometimes we are not so good in long-term strategy planning. I drafted a Ukrainian country plan, which I need to do, but this whole country plan is now outdated already. And it's very much clear that what we are doing together, Kerk and Actie and Ukrainian Educational Platform, is very much influencing our strategy for the coming years. So it's because of what's happening in this country and the way Ukrainian Educational Platform is reacting on this. And for example, the idea of the student chaplaincy and the orphan chaplaincy together to this mental health program, which is a very good idea. So, and actually in our discussions in the recent days, we said, this is a topic which we should take on board also as Kerk and Actie for the longer term. So, and that's why I'm so happy that I took other colleagues who can also see the impact of this. So yes, in a long-term relationship, if you have these discussions, these connections, there's always a vice versa. So it's not Kerk and Actie who is just having money and spending it based on certain strategies. No, our idea is to understand what a partner wants, how that is fitting in the country, and since, well, this is happening in this country right now, so we are inventing together a new strategy for Ukraine. So that's actually what's going on. And that's what I like very much, because we had quite a lot of Zoom talks already in the last month, so that's
For me, I'm very crazy about strategies. I'm fond of thinking through and combining, mixing everything, setting up priorities. This is very much my thing. But if we talk about a roadmap, how do you do it? How do you actually build the strategies that work? I shared with you today during one of our conversations that according to a study that Forbes published, there are 84% of companies, they have very good strategies, but only 13% of this strategy actually works and are successful, I mean. So it's never about, a document, set of objectives. I mean, it's very good to have a clear planning. I'm totally in for that. But for me, what makes a strategy work, especially during the time of war, you have to have like key components that help you, like tools that you use to build a roadmap. And for me, of course, again, is trust. If I can't have a dialogue, a very honest dialogue, it would be a problem because we would never get to the main point. And sometimes, for example, if a Kerk and Actie has a set of goals that they want to achieve, but they are absolutely unrealistic in this environment, there is no way that this strategy will succeed. It's impossible. So the trust is kind of like a fundamental thing to build an open dialogue to address the key roots of the problems. Without this trust and dialogue, you will never get there. So this is one tool, and it's very important. The other thing is that you have to be very flexible. Because, for example, you can have a very great set of goals, a great roadmap, and we and Daan actually had one. When we met and we discussed all the projects, etc., we had a lot of beautiful plans on developing international relationship and programs for parish communities, but irrelevant now. We had bombing on the 24th, the full-scale war started, and we have to do something. So, of course, it's a crisis management. You have to be very flexible in adjusting your big vision to the new realities, and it has to be fast. So this is what I call flexibility, and it's very important. Third thing is, you have to be very creative. And it's not just a fancy word. It's, well, we know that NARA management, a very successful education, a very successful case was created on the mix of environments. It's a part of psychology, neurobiology, and management. And then we have one method that explains very good human behavior. But it was just an idea. It was a mix of everything. And you had to be creative in order to come there. And now in the complex world, it's very fragile. It's dynamic. Everything changes, and it's the new reality. Today we have a very beautiful plan, tomorrow we have a war going on. And this is where we need to be able to create something new on the mix of what we've done before, on the experience, on the analytical research. So this creativity, energy, and mix of environments actually can help you to create something new that never existed. And maybe this is the best model to go. So this is the third very important thing, that you need to be creative and think of things. And the other thing is, I guess, is multiplying. When you do prototype, so you're creative, you have an assumption. And this is something that we have within our new program, the mental health program, yes? And we are thinking, it's the first time that we do a full-scale mental health program all over Ukraine, and we want to combine spiritual component with psychological support. And we have assumptions, what will we achieve in the end. We have qualitative and quantitative results. We did all the application, everything is very beautiful. But we know that in the end of the day, we will have other findings on the way that may indicate, oh my God, maybe we should really change something. Or maybe we should add something, or maybe there's something missing. So, and when you have this like a case already, when you're starting to go on your roadmap, you have to be prepared to multiply it. So you have a successful case, it actually worked, it worked for Lviv, maybe we can multiply it. So it becomes like a model for others. So this prototype and then multiplying. These, I guess, are the 5 things that you need to know, 5 instruments for the roadmap that you built all the way to successful strategies.
Yeah, and actually then the roadmap is sort of adapting all the time your strategy to the reality, right? So it's a living document, so that's the best way you could maybe describe it. It's all the time changing and reflecting on what's still realistic to go for. Yeah, so it's a continuous discussion, so that's what we had in that.
Yeah, thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you need to adapt your strategy. So my question to Natalia is, what helped you to adapt the strategy of leadership and ministry when the war started? And can you tell, in your opinion, is it successful? How partners of leadership and ministry reacted? What were the key points, the key things that helped to react quickly? Does strategy play a role here?
I'm not gonna lie, I never had built a strategy during the war. So for me, it was a personal challenge. I needed to, what I did was, I tried to protect my team. I wanted to keep them safe. And it was not a question of strategy, it was a question of life or death. I wanted my team to be safe, and I knew if we are safe and calm, then we can think of something. First reaction in the first day of war, full-scale war, yes. So I can't say if this strategy is successful, but I know it takes place. And I know that probably 80% of it will change eventually. Because we had a big strategy for 5 years within the leadership and ministry. We started like 2.5 years ago. We implemented half of it, and we plan to do the international part of the strategy in another 2.5 years. And it's still there. I mean, the core idea, the 6 priorities, they are there, but they are different, or they are implemented in a different way. So we kind of can't have the same KPI, for example, as we had before. So I won't tell you that we totally rebuild it, but it was a kind of a, I started with a crisis plan, and it has like first steps we need to do to be safe. And I guess this measures, these steps, help us to create a very fast crisis plan.
To finish, maybe you have already thought about further plans, post-war, rehabilitation, etc. Do you have such plans for both organizations? How do you see it?
We do have. Yeah. We always have plans.
One of the most, what is very important, I think, is this ongoing connection between churches and organizations. Yeah, so that will be very important.
I think we will need to.
It's okay.
Record.
I mean, it's a real life.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. You can put it on the camera, right? Yeah. No, it's okay. So, but this contacts between our organizations and bring that a step further to the local partners also. Yeah, so that will be. So this parish to parish idea is great, and this will also help for the longer term, I hope, to connect churches, youth groups. And there is a base right now, and I'm sure there will be a sort of, yesterday, that was what the colleague from US said, there will come a donor fatigue, yeah? So people will get, a little bit tired about Ukraine every time hearing it, but if you take it from another level and you put it on a longer term support between churches, which is not only the emergency aid, but also the longer term relationship, how you could, I shared with one of my colleagues, why ask we churches to adopt 10 local support centers, for the coming 2 years, and give them sort of ways how to support that, to send volunteers or to exchange. So for the longer term, there's much more to do, also in exchanging people. And that's what Natalia and I want to work on. So that will be definitely one of the most important ideas or strategies. But open to any flexible ideas which will popping up along the way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Daan, and I think that. There are 3, to be brief, I will try my best. There are 3 ideas that we already have. We plan to do this parish-to-parish international exchange program. And this is very good because we can share thoughts, discuss. It will bring life to the parishes. So we can learn a lot from different communities because it's ecumenical. It's surrounded by Christian values, based on Christian values, but it doesn't have to be Greek Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, Protestant Church. And this environment is very healthy, and I think this is what youth needs, even in these conditions. The second thing is we plan to renew program activities because we were focusing on the emergency fund campaign. How do we address the raising needs? But we see now that we need to do other things. Like now we started the mental health program. Then we will go back to the leadership skills you need to acquire during the war. So it's something new to learn, and it's also important to mention. And there is the third dimension when we build international network, something that you mentioned, that we can make this international support centers. We never done that, but we can go there. And it's also another big discussion to be. But these are the plans that we thought. And I think it's possible. It's because now you are completely right, and I agree with you. We can't be certain of anything, but we need to prepare ourselves and plan even more than ever. That's it.
Thank you so much for this talk. I hope all the plans of both organizations will come to reality, will be implemented. And I wish we will meet each other again in a peaceful time to discuss our further plans. We were talking with Natalia Shalata from Leadership and Ministry program of Ukrainian Education Platform and Daan Verbaan from Kerk Actie. Slava Ukraini!
Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini. Yeah.
And the answer is Героям Slava.
Heroyam Slava.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
so
when
this-
you came back,
Yeah.
you will be
Ukrainian.
totally Ukrainian. Yeah.